Read more boring manga, guys. Please. Now, I know I'm going to get some, odd looks here and there. Some of you are probably wondering, why on earth am I recommending manga that is going to bore you? Manga that's going to put you to sleep. It's going to make you just not want to read manga anymore. Now, obviously, when I'm saying boring, I'm not referring to like that dictionary definition of boring. I'm more referring to series that are much slower paced. I use the term boring because when I recommend these series to, maybe close family or friends, they usually come back to me and they're like, well, that was pretty boring, that almost put me to sleep just because I couldn't get into it within the first few chapters. I had to drop it, I couldn't get into it. Nothing was happening. They're always looking for action or something's happening, within the first few episodes, within the first few chapters. So I guess in a sense you can say this video is meant more for those people that are like constantly reading the shonen, the next shonen manga. Like for example, Attack on Titan, they want that action, guns blazing, people dying, explosions, all that jazz, So why should you read boring manga? Well, let's start off with the first point. It's important to have a change of pace. Now, I get it, you enjoy your series that are fast paced, you enjoy your action, your battles, that's completely cool. By reading something that's a bit more slower paced or relaxing, it can kind of make you, just slow down, It's important to have these breaks so that when you're doing something, whatever it is, and it's something that you're really used to doing, you kind of become used to it. You know what I mean? You become really used to it. You become numb to it, for a lack of a better term. So when you're constantly reading these shonen series or action-filled series, you're just used to it. You kind of take them for granted in a way. So I think it's cool to just take a break, read something slower. And when you do come back to those action series, you're going to appreciate them that much more. Now, often these shorter stories that I'm referring to are deeply relatable, they're much more grounded. You're not going to see like a lot of magic. You're not going to see like many explosions and all these unrealistic things happening with like dragons, isekai, power-ups, magic, all this, you're not going to see that as much. Of course, there are some more, like slower paced manga that do have these elements, but I'm trying to lean more towards like slice of life, something that's more grounded, that's something you can relate to. And these type of manga do offer that. They're more slower paced, more relatable. Maybe you can relate with the characters, maybe you can relate with the setting, or maybe you just can relate to the story or what's happening in the story. Now, although these manga series can be, more quiet, there's not much happening, they can be way more slower. Although they are quiet, they still can portray, powerful themes and messages throughout their stories. Now, reading something that's, slower paced, whatever manga that may be, it can give you life lessons, it just gives you that moment to reflect, and it'll kind of make you appreciate, the smaller moments or day-to-day activities that you do. There's a lot of things that we take for granted every day. Honestly, reading these series can, just give you that opportunity to, look back on your own life and reflect on what you need to do, or things that you do and maybe you just do them without thinking, and you're like, hey, maybe I should, live more in the present instead of constantly, worrying about the past or the future. Now, these are important, key elements and things that you can learn and that you can apply to your own life. Well, these stories are often episodic in a sense. Well, I'm using the wrong term because we're talking about manga and not anime. But basically, each chapter usually will cover a short story. There'll be a short story, and there'll usually be like some kind of lesson at the end or something that, that story will teach you. Now, thanks to this and stories being structured in this way where, it's like short stories, it's way more accessible. It makes it way more accessible for the reader. You can just pick it up any day, read it. Maybe you can read a short story per day. It's easy to get into. In comparison, longer running, stories or manga, they don't offer this, It's a bigger commitment. It's a bigger commitment for the viewer because they really need to know what's happening in the story at any given time. It's definitely not something you can just pick up and read it and know what's going on. So this brings me to my final point for this video, which is boring manga will cure you of your emotional burnout. That you'll suffer from emotional burnout reading these long running series or action series, It will happen, trust me, because I've gone through it myself. I mean, after consuming these, intense high stake battles, this anime or manga with that intense high stake battles, and you're just at the edge of your seat. And finally, when you finish it, you just feel, you feel that kind of like, the emptiness inside your heart, that hole, it's like, I just finished a great series and it's just, and then you just can't get into anything else. I'm sure, you guys know what I'm talking about. You don't really feel this with more relaxed, laid back manga or slice of life, chill series, it's not something you will feel where you feel empty. You actually feel more accomplished, or kind of like, you feel more filled. Like, it's hard to explain. A relaxing series is the opposite of something that's like intense. You don't feel empty, you actually feel filled, if that makes sense. You feel, you feel complete. Kind of took the values and the lessons that it had in the stories and you apply them to yourself, or at least I hope. Sometimes the most quietest stories are the most greatest. This is why you guys should, hop into some boring manga, especially if you really like reading, shonen type anime, battles and all this crazy stuff happening. Please guys, I implore you to take a break. Just take a step back, and I'm gonna list some manga that I'm gonna recommend you guys. Grab these series, go to your local bookstore. I don't know, just find it somehow. Grab it, sit down, have a hot cup of coffee or something, or tea, and just chill. Just chill and read and relax and unwind. And you guys will understand what I'm talking about. This is a video that I'm dedicating to those people who I recommended such great series and they just think like they just can't get into it. You might not get into like certain series and that's completely fine, but at least give it a fair chance, But anyway, that's my rant for today and that is the video, guys. And before I completely, close off the video, I do want to make some recommendations on what type of boring manga that you guys, can read or pick up. Now, most of these manga are already finished and some of them are even like one-shots, single volumes, So it's definitely something you can just pick up and read. So here's a list of 5 that I do recommend. Yokohama Kadaishi Kiko as number 1, which is also manga I cover on this channel. Second, we got Barakamon. I don't know how to say it, guys. I know I'm mispronouncing it, but Barakamon, I just can't. But yeah, I recommend it. I've also watched the anime. Very chill, very nice story, heartfelt. Number 3 on my list is March Comes In Like a Lion. That's also a good one, highly recommended. Number 4, we got Mushishi, another great manga. One of my top favorite anime, honestly. But the manga is also spot on, highly recommended. And number 5, I have The God's Lie, which is also another great one-shot manga volume, single volume manga, which I have not covered on this channel yet, but I will, I'll get to it eventually. But yeah, those are 5 manga right there. No particular order, I'm not ordering them in any certain way or saying number 1 is better than 5. I'm not doing any of that. But yeah, that's a good starter right there. Those 5 volumes, pick them up, check them out, guys, and read them when you got some downtime. But yeah, that's it for me, guys. I'm your host, Rich Taku, and I will be signing off.